Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Penguin by Story Archives. I'm your host, Mario Busto, alongside
the other host, Zachary Newton. Welcome back.
We're back covering episode 5, titled Homecoming. And as Zach, you mentioned slightly before we started recording, it's a very fitting name.
Yeah.
Probably for a multitude of reasons, right? You know, as great shows do, a lot of storylines overlap in a lot of ways, and you have multiple characters kind of having their own homecoming, so to speak, in this episode. From probably the most vivid one is Oz rediscovering his childhood and these tunnels at the end that seem to be a way out for him.
Yeah.
To Salvatore escaping prison and coming home, kind of, and then Sofia has kind of made her own new home, her own new family, yeah. Right? And she's kind of resurged and created a new vision for what the Falcone family will be like. And now it's going to be called the Gigante, or Gigante, if you're saying it in Spanish. So she's kind of just wanting to do away with the entire Carmine Falcone legacy and instead honor her mother's legacy by becoming this sort of unifying female power boss.
Yeah. You know, I'm not, I mean, we've mentioned before, like, I'm not too read up on all the comics and whatnot, but I have a feeling this deviates a bit from the comic series because I don't ever remember hearing about these two families kind of like teaming up and, joining forces to go against a common enemy here. So it's interesting to kind of see where this is going. But yeah, I mean, in addition to Oz kind of going back to, his childhood memories, right? Like, I also feel like it was Oz's homecoming in another way. Like, I feel like this is the first episode where we started to kind of see Oz move into that more underground character that we know and love and also hate from, the old Batman with Danny DeVito. He's always in the sewers. He's always underground. So I kind of like that as well. I kind of hope we get a little more of that as we move through the rest of the season, just because it feels familiar. I like it. What can I say?
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Obviously, this is a darker version of Oz, and we're getting all sorts of darkness in this series, from the way he goes after the Maronis to just all sorts of things. We can kind of go one by one or character by character here, but it feels appropriate to kind of just start from the beginning because we're picking up from where we left off in episode 3, which is the aftermath of the whole car crash where Sofia is made aware by, what's Salvatore's wife's name?
I don't even know.
It's like a traditional name. If you can look that one up real quick.
I'll look it up.
And not that it matters because she was burned to a crisp in this episode, but we pick up from there, and it's really Oz has Vic, and he has a solid play, right? It's Nadia. I knew it was something classic. Yeah. He has a solid play, which is to get the drugs from the Maroons back and to kind of pit these two families against each other. But quite obviously, it's not going to work out because that one bit of information has gotten out that he killed Alberto, right? So he is pretty much public enemy number 1, according to the top 2 crime families in Gotham at the moment. So that was never going to work out. And, to make matters worse, he ruins the entire drug shipment minus 2 barrels for the most part. And his botched assassination attempt obviously means that Salvatore gets out of prison, which I did make a side note saying it's pretty convenient that all he needed was the keys to get out of the prison. Like, that's it. It was as easy as just getting the keys to get out of there. There was no cameras. There was no other guards to stop him.
Yeah, it was pretty easy.
Yeah, he's like, he gave me the keys.
I mean, that's all they need. I mean, granted though, like, all these families have tons of people in their back pocket, right? So I mean, maybe he knew somebody that was on duty or something.
Maybe.
Pretty bad skills from the guy that was trying to kill him, though. Honestly, like, I feel like when you catch somebody by surprise with a knife like that, you make it pretty quick.
I mean, I don't know what it says about you and Oz is sending you on a murder errand, to be honest. Like, I mean, he is the most low-life individual in this entire series. Like, it's not even close. He betrays everybody he comes in contact with. It's a matter of time before I wait on him to turn on Vic. I just think it's going to happen any moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine so.
So, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I mean, I still don't know what we're going to end up with, with Vic as far as like his storyline goes. Like, I can't see him being a real like right-hand man, though he seems to just continue to be groomed by Oz over and over and over again. I feel like it kind of makes him feel like he's just got more power than he does right now.
Yeah.
A little more status, so it is what it is.
I think Vic made the wrong choice. He should have gone with his cute girlfriend over to California, wherever she was heading to make a new life. And I think he picked the wrong horse here, but obviously the name of the show is Penguin. So I feel like Oz is going to get himself out of this hole somehow, but in reality, there's no way he gets away in this sort of scenario.
No, I mean, he's a criminal, so the cops aren't on his side. Half the cops are already on the sides of the criminal families, and they all hate him. He's just a scumbag, a little sleazy businessman, if you can call him that. So
also,
I was surprised he had anywhere to run in this. Like, I didn't think he had any goons.
Well, it makes complete sense why he has to go underground, because if you put like a wanted poster out, all you got to put is like massive man who has a penguin waddle type walk and scars all over his face. Please report this man to your local chief of police, right? But you said, speaking about the cops in the pockets of the crime families, we met the chief of police of Gotham, who seems to have been somebody who was in the pocket of Carmine Falcone, because we pick up in the Falcone house after the gas leak mass death event that happened there, where pretty much the whole family was killed besides Sofia, Gia, and Johnny Viti. Which it seems like Sofia was trying to scapegoat Johnny Viti, because at first I thought, I kind of realized, or I was sort of right on why she kept him alive, which was, I think, to use a scapegoat for the murder, and also to get the men who worked for her father into the house to kind of be in a position to get these men to fall in line to her. So she never intended to keep him around to help her run the family. Instead, now we get this sort of twisted therapist-patient relationship here.
Yeah, I'm not liking that.
Yeah, between Sofia and Julian, and it feels very Joker-esque, right? It feels very like Arkham-y, right? Because he's from Arkham, and he's like, I need this release. So he's immediately gone over to like this evil dark side, right?
I know, he seems like a freak.
Yeah, I thought they were going to get it on at some point in this episode, but I think that's kind of inevitable with these two. He's obviously obsessed with her, so
for sure.
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Chief of Police had like a really raspy voice. It felt almost like he had a cold when they started filming, and he just kind of pushed through. I liked it, to be honest, because it was so different from what I was expecting. I don't know if that's his actual voice, but it was definitely unique, and I didn't mind it.
It caught me off guard, but it kind of added to the atmosphere of just like his character. I liked it.
It did. He kind of felt a little slimy, right? At first, you didn't know whether he was a good guy or not, but it's pretty clear he was a guy who was getting kickbacks and is there out of some sort of selfish interest to kind of cover his tracks, if I had to guess.
Yeah, it makes him seem approachable at first, but then you're quickly like, oh no, he's in these guys' pockets. You know, I was honestly a bit surprised with this episode, because it's not at all really what I expected. I as I mentioned in our last episode, I expected Sofia to team up with Johnny Viti. I expected the Penguin to, I think I said to team up with the Triads, and then everybody's kind of at war with each other, but that did not happen at all. In fact, I think it's almost the reverse of that in many ways. Sofia uses Johnny Viti and then teams up with the Maronis.
Sofia, to be honest, is playing it exactly how I would have played it, which is she doesn't like really love her father or her family for good reason of what happened to them, right? Mm-hmm. And Johnny Viti gives this kind of clear picture into what the situation was. You know, we find out that he was the cousin of her mother, so that makes Johnny Viti her uncle, right?
No, that would make.
Oh no, my bad. I thought my bad. I confused it right now for me thinking that he was her mother's brother. So no, he was a cousin. So he is just a cousin to her, right? But he does give kind of a clear picture of what happened. He connected Carmine with her, Isabella, and she was tired of kind of being the mob wife, so to speak. Maybe her conscience was getting the better of her, and the day she was going to leave, Carmine killed her, right? And that's how we pretty much get this whole Sofia origin story, so to speak. Now, I don't know how, I haven't done much research, obviously, to know if Sofia's character is truly this powerful in the Batman series and whether, like, what her role was after Carmine dies. But they're definitely going the route, like, it's hard to see her going away, but there is no world where her and Oz can coexist. So I would imagine his rivals have to die, which is probably the worst. This version of Oz is probably the worst destiny for Gotham, to have that guy over their city. But in a weird way, all this guy wants is to be like universally worshipped for the most part. He seems like
he wants love from his mother as well.
In a way that, you see the prostitute Eve that turns on him in this episode. She knows how to push those buttons that is very similar to his mother, right? And she is a kind of twisted character in and of itself, right? Because when Vic goes to take care of her in this episode, he pretty much lies for Oz and makes it seem like he killed all the Falcones, right? And she's just ecstatic about that. She wants her boy to be like the crime lord of Gotham. So she's a piece of work too. She's kind of like, Aunt Polly and Peaky Blinders if she was completely like losing her marbles, like not quick with it at all.
I get that vibe as well. Honestly, I'm not quite sure how to read her in most situations. Like when he was walking her into that old apartment, I thought she was just gonna shout out and yell at those guys. Like I was not expecting her to stay quiet and actually move in, get through the door. But
they're leaving. They're putting all the cookie crumbs for us, right? Like, how is Oz gonna move product? How is he gonna do all this stuff? It's obvious that he's gonna start working with Squid, right? Because he controls all the drops in Crown Point. So, and Crown Point kind of feels like a perfect place for Oz to take over from, right? A place that's forgotten, that's not taken seriously, for him to be kind of like the mob boss of Crown Point. And maybe that leads to Oz's betrayal of Victor, right? Because Squid is going to become more useful than Victor is if he has henchmen in the area who can control drops. And obviously Oz, as we know, is going to grow those mushrooms in the tunnels.
Yeah. It does seem like there is a alliance that comes about there, but I don't know. Maybe Victor introduces him. Like maybe that's another move that he makes that kind of like, it's another step up in his eyes with Oz.
No, I think at some point Victor's kind of like a trainee at this point. I just don't know at what point that goes wrong for him in some ways, but
I don't know. I mean, if I were him, I'd just be like, I know a guy. But yeah, I mean, it's almost like the smoking gun. Like, something's going to happen with Squid in an upcoming episode. It makes sense for him to team up with Penguin, just like you said. So
if I had to guess, you would have the next episode do some sort of time skip because you need those mushrooms to grow. Right? Yeah. And what are we going to do? Waste an entire episode of like, we can't find that penguin. We've checked the whole city. I think it's going to be something like 6 months later or some crap like that. And Sofia and company is going to be like, we can't find Penguin. He's nowhere to be found in the city. He's got to be gone, Sofia. He must have left, right? And then she'll probably catch wind by seeing the drugs on the street or noticing a certain behavior from people who are taking the drugs or something like that. And then she'll know he's somewhere there, right? Yeah. Then at that point, I think the only way Oz survives in the situation is he can't make peace with Sofia or Sal. So both of them gotta die. He's already crossed lines, right? Because in this episode, Oz not only kidnaps Sal's son, but then he burns him alive.
Torches him and Nadia alive.
Yeah, because Nadia was trying to, backstab Oz in that situation, and Oz was gonna backstab her. Let's be honest. He doused her son in gasoline. So it's not like he had some honorable intentions either, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he crossed the line there where Sal's never going to forgive him for that. And then with Sofia, he first and foremost is the one who got her in trouble with Carmine, which led to her going to Arkham. And then he killed her brother. So, I mean, he is got to get rid of both of them. And I just wonder how that goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You figure he can kind of bribe probably everybody else with money in the city besides those two families.
Yeah.
So maybe if he can get the triads on his side, he can kind of build up an army and then figure out a way to get rid of both of them.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to pick sides on this because everybody's just bad. Like, I mean, like, I feel like I'm obligated to pick Penguin's side just because, like, the show's all about him. But, like, I mean, I kind of feel for Sofia in some ways. Like, I find her story very interesting.
I like Sofia. I'm not going to lie.
Are you picking Sofia over Oz?
I like Sofia, but I'm not, Oz makes the show more interesting for sure.
Of course. Yeah. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I am curious to see how they try to continue to humanize these people in some ways. Otherwise, it's just like gang on gang. But then again, like, I mean, Peaky Blinders is kind of like that. We just get a lot more of like the personal aspects of, the Shelby family in that show.
Yeah, but Tommy actually has principles while Oz has none.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, Tommy doesn't cross certain lines, like, ever, for the most part, which is convenient because he has ridiculous plot armor. But let's think about it. Like, there's certain situations that Tommy shouldn't have gotten out of, like, alive from. Sure. Like when he goes to visit, Alfie, to negotiate, and supposedly has a grenade with him or some crap. There's lots of moments in Peaky Blinders you got to just kind of like, all right, okay, this guy's invincible.
I did tie my shoe, so just saying.
Yeah. Did I tie my shoe? Ollie, did I tie my shoe? He tied his shoe, Alfie. He tied his shoe.
Great episode. Anyways, back to Penguin.
Yeah. I was going to make a mention of something here. We talked about Oz's plan. He did make a good move. He kidnapped Taj, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brutally killed everybody there. Then pretty much torches both him and his mother and gets incredible joy out of it for some reason. So he's a sick person, right? Because any sort of anybody with any scruples at all would have ended their misery, but no, he enjoyed watching them burn alive together, right?
Oh yeah.
Victor continues to try to prove himself. I wonder. I think I'm kind of spot on of what next episode is going to be. I think I kind of just laid it out. That was pretty much it. I think it's time skip. Oz, maybe it's a time skip after Oz recruits Squid in the gang, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. Did you notice how like almost all of the shots of like Oz and his storyline are handheld, and the ones of Sophia's are not? They're all nice and steady.
Oh, that's cool. Well, it feels like an appropriate choice, right? Because Oz is in chaos trying to figure out a plan of what to do, while Sofia, for the first time in a long time, has complete clarity of the direction she wants to go in, even rebranding her family name. And symbolically has won the loyalty of all these men as they get their blood doused money from Johnny Viti's dead corpse.
Temple. Are you taking the money? I mean, I'd be taking the money.
You don't take the money in that situation, you're going to die. So you better take them, even if you don't want to join this Gigante family. Take a wad of cash and get out of Dodge. So,
there you go. You gotta. Otherwise, you're showing your hand too early.
It's not like these guys are Boy Scouts who went to the wrong meeting. Like, these guys have done dirty work and probably killed people. Like, this is, it's she just killed her whole family, bro. Like, she just literally gassed everybody, and then shot this guy, and kept him alive for no other reason but to get these other men in the room so that she could get her soldiers to fall in line.
I was surprised by the fact that she shot Johnny Viti and killed him right there. But as I was watching the scene, I was just like, it's gonna happen.
He reverted back to Johnny Viti. And by the way, Johnny Viti's a piece of crap too. I mean, it's not just her family got killed, like his family got killed and his wife just got killed. I mean, Luca's wife just got killed, which is like his lover, right? So this is a guy who doesn't seem to be in grief or mourning at all. He is just rolling with the punches here.
Yeah.
Well, by the way, side note, not to go down a rabbit hole, but I saw a new trailer for the Dune show coming out, which I was not interested in at all. But then I saw the trailer and I was like, maybe this is going to be really good.
Who's doing it?
HBO.
Interesting.
Or Max, whatever they're calling
Max. It's always HBO to me. All right.
Yeah. All right. So we covered just about everything in this episode. So where do you think we go from here? And then we can kind of go into some categories.
I mean, I kind of think you're right. Like I don't like this episode kind of felt like a weird, like slow build up episode to me. Like it was setting the stage for something. So I don't think I would disagree with your, guess on having a time skip in the next episode. I don't know if it's going to be like 6 months later. It might be like, a few weeks or like a month or two, but I do think that we'll get something. We need to see some sort of progression. But I still feel like Oz needs to get more people on his side. I feel like he's just up against such a large army. And we need to see him build that or just really like start taking over the streets, right? Start disrupting the Maronis, start disrupting the Falcones or the Gigantes. Drug trade that's going on right now.
What we do find out about this drug is it's able to pretty much take control of people. So maybe he just turns everyone into zombies and, makes them attack.
You mean like
Sofia?
California?
Which aspect of California?
I don't know. I don't know what that drug is that's going around. That there's like a whole bunch of zombies everywhere.
There's a new drug in California?
I don't know if it's new, but yeah, I keep.
We had a zombie once in Miami. It was a guy, like a homeless guy who
remember that. Yeah,
who took bath salts and like was biting somebody on the highway,
biting people. Yeah,
yeah. That was a. I thought that was the end of the world that day. I was like, this is it. This is literally it. And it's starting in Miami, of course. It's got to start here. Why couldn't this start like somewhere else?
Somewhere a little farther away. Yeah, hey, I mean, if it starts where you are, at least you can run anywhere at that point.
Yeah, and this guy was like running too. Like he was like one of those World War Z zombies. But anyways, let's do some categories.
All right, well let's get into favorite character of the episode first.
Sofia.
Okay.
For me at
all
least.
Right. I'm gonna go with Oz. I liked seeing. I mean, I feel weird saying I liked seeing his dark side, but it is interesting, and I did like that we kind of started to. Get this, I don't know, this classic Penguin feeling from this episode, at least. How about favorite scene?
Favorite scene for me had to have been, Sofia talking to like her new soldiers, probably, or actually, no, I kind of like Sofia's meeting with Sal. That's probably my favorite part of the episode.
Interesting. I was actually gonna say it was her kind of like reforming the family. Like I liked that. I would want to pick something from Penguin's side, but just nothing really sticks out to me. If I had to give an honorable mention for a scene, it's probably gonna be I think just like Penguin with his mother, as awkward as it kind of was, I think is really telling about his character. So
yeah,
I like that.
I think because I already had a grasp of what that dynamic was, it didn't really feel that important to me or that special. I think it's just a twisted relationship with his mother.
Yeah, that's for sure. I can't think of any lines that stood out to me though. Did you catch anything? This isn't a really like heavy line show like Peaky Blinders was.
Yeah, no. I can't think of much from this episode at least.
How about most despicable character in this episode?
It's pretty much Oz every episode, isn't it?
It's definitely Oz in this episode.
Yeah, it's just,
I mean, I feel like there's many others. I mean, no, last episode, most despicable character is probably going to be Sofia. She gasses her whole family. So.
Yeah, but Yeah, that one is at least understandable for the most part.
Yeah.
Not like from her perspective, right? She's somebody who wants to take over the family, and these are all people who pretty much left her for dead, right? So they're all pieces of crap in that room. So
I know.
like, I at least understand.
Wrong,
and again, you can understand Oz too, but it just feels like Oz is completely driven by greed and ego, where Sofia is just like, I want to right wrongs from the past and unite the city under, like, I don't know. She even wants to pay her workers better. So it just kind of like.
That's an interesting point, though. Like, what do you think Sophia's end game is here, other than just destroying Oz? Like,
it started as revenge. So I just wonder what motivation she has left after she tries to kill Oz, or let's say she kills Oz, which we know is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's left after that, because she seemed so out of the loop with the family business before she went to Arkham. So and now she doesn't have Johnny V to kind of, like, I guess, show her the ropes, if you will, of like, this is how we ran business. This is the typical day to day.
Yeah, that to me, it's gonna piss me off a little bit if she just strolls in and knows how to run an entire mob operation after just running a little charity nonprofit for women, like, like
being in like Arkham for, like, what was it, 10 years?
Yeah, for 10 years. Like, if she just strolls in and knows exactly how to balance the books and all the stuff, like, she probably should have kept Johnny V around for like half a year, maybe a year, right, to learn the ropes. Now she's got all these goons there. She doesn't know who to trust of these goons, and she wants to trust them all as equal equity holders. Like,
yeah,
very convenient. Let's see how Sofia does it.
Yeah, I almost see a scenario here where Sal ends up top dog again. I mean, like, right now, it kind of feels like it's the underdog story with him. Everything was taken away, but I mean, at least he's run the business. He still has a lot of guys in place. Freaking Sophia's murdered everybody in her family, the people who ran and helped run the business, Luca, Johnny Viti, all of them. So now she's only got, like, lower tier thugs, at least from what I know. So do you think Sal might end up on top, or do you think Sofia is going to end up on top?
I think Oz is going to end up on top.
Well, out of the two families, the Falcones and the Maronis,
I don't think it. I think it'll be the alliance thing. That's what
you think we're going to stick with that the whole time? You don't think anybody's going to stab the other in the back?
I think Oz is going to find a way to get the triads in his side, and then the Maroons are going to turn on Sofia, and she's going to lose everything, and then Oz is going to take her out.
Okay, see, that's what I'm thinking. So Sal's going to turn on Sofia. That's what I mean by him kind of coming back as a top dog. I don't know what that means between the Maronis and Penguin.
Yeah. Look, every NBA superstar duo ends up hating each other for the most part, right? Yeah. So if you got Sofia here and Sal, and these are both very ego-driven individuals, right? Sofia a little less so, but I think Sal is very ego-driven. Maybe he's gonna not feel too good being, second fiddle to Sofia. Who knows? So
fair enough.
And they're crime lords, so it's not like they're the most altruistic people. So, yeah. Or maybe Batman will swoop in and just pick a side.
I'm still waiting for that to happen at some point. Some appearance, some mention. We still haven't gotten anything.
Yeah, we did get one mention in the beginning, but.
Well, I mean, that's the only. Yeah, it was just to set the stage. It was just to bridge the gap between the movie and the show.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I've got for categories and questions. Anything on your end, or you want to close this out?
No. Let's close this one out. Keep it a shorty tonight.
Let's do it.
All right. I'll leave you to your outro, sir.
Oh, straight to the outro. All right. Well, before I get to the outro, we do have a fun Halloween special episode dropping shortly, which is really fun. So be sure to tune into that. As we're rounding out, this season, we've got a fun one coming up in a few weeks. It's kind of crazy to say. Silo.
Yeah. So yeah. To kind of like speak a little bit more, completely forgot that we just recorded a Halloween special a couple days ago. It's great. We go over our favorite Halloween movies, the scariest ones we watch, which ones gave us PTSD and trauma from watching them from too young, our favorite candies. We do Mount Rushmores of candy. We even do a pick your own adventure at the end of the episode. It's a long one.
It's very amusing.
We think you'll enjoy it. And I think it's a great first listen for new listeners to the show. So if you ever want a episode to share with somebody, to introduce them to Story Archives, this one might be a good one to do that with. And as Zach mentioned, the next show we're covering is Silo, I think dropping on November 17th. So stay tuned for that, and let us know, as always, what you think. Comment, like, review, and we'll see you guys on the Halloween special whenever it drops this week.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Story Archives. You can find this anywhere you find podcasts, Apple and Spotify podcasts primarily. You can visit us on YouTube at SoapBox Podcast Network. And you can visit our website at soapbox.house for links to all of the other platforms that happen to exist where we have accounts, our email address, and anything else you might need.
Until next time, peace.
Peace.